Hello, hello, hi. Hello, Yala. This act, it is on. It is me. You're Khadi on the internet, Small Town Didi. I am back, and today we are going to review some trash television in the form of The Real Housewives of Cape Town. Am I late? Yes, I am. I know I'm late, but I made it. That's the point. We have some Demi Steak in hand today. I thought it fitting because these hands are on all the bubbles. Tato, we're gonna get to Tato, but Tato is the new love of my life. Like, I don't care how anybody feels about Tato. I just want to give her a hug. We're 2 episodes in. It's episode 1 and 2. The first episode, we really just get to meet the cast, and then they have a little thing at the end. It's honestly very slow paced for now. I think we should knock this out in a jiffy. Let's get into it. We're first introduced to Camilla, the queen of Constantia. This woman's home is interesting, to say the least. Like, it's cluttered. I don't give a shit. It's cluttered. It's to her taste. It's got a little. It's different. There's a lot going on. I would suffocate. It just looks like everything is trapping dust. It's cluttered. It's a lot going on. I don't know what, but it's a home, and nobody wants anything nasty to be said about the home. It's just very particular. It suits her personality. She does say it's a labor of love. It's for her. It works for her, and she drives a vintage Rolls Royce. It looks really, really pretty. And then we're introduced to Mrs. Leo, who is a Tswana speaking woman. This was interesting to me, this cast, by the way. I was like, just because of how our country is structured, so to speak, like, that you find pockets of a certain tribe or certain cultures are more concentrated in other areas and stuff. I expected to have a predominantly Xhosa speaking cast, or at least the black women to be that, and we only have like one cast member who speaks Xhosa, so I don't know. Tato's Tswana speaking, originally from Sosha, and she's married to a Nigerian man. We get to meet her kids and stuff. She has 2 girls and 1 little boy toddler. He's not more than 2. He could be 1. I really wasn't paying attention to the age and things like that. We meet Miss Leo, whose name is Loveline. Yes. And she is a blogger, an influencer. I have never heard of any of these women before the show. That's not to say they aren't accomplished in their own rights. Otherwise, why put them on the show, right? Like, there's something to them to talk about. Just because, like, little Didi hasn't heard of them, it's not to say they haven't done their thing. But they influencers, they whatever. I will go look at their social medias when I'm done doing this, just so I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I see it. Her husband is I would say, club promoter. From what she says, he hosts events at clubs and stuff. Interesting, I guess. It must bring in the money. I mean, they can afford to live out there, so, and like raise children out there, and it's expensive out there. Hey, story for another day. Okay, I'm in Limpopo now. I'm back home. It doesn't matter. And then we get to meet Tato. Tato is my favorite. Tato is my favorite. I don't care. Like, I don't care how anybody feels. Tato reminds me of a wounded bird. I want to take her to the shelter. I want to adopt her at the shelter. I want to give her my last name. I just want to hug her. And just, Tato, it's going to be okay. She just seems so in it. Like, she's going through, like, actively going through the throes of life. My one friend and I like to say that. Tato just drinks, guys. We're introduced to her, and in her introduction, we get to meet her son, and they go to a pool by some bougie, or what she says is a bougie establishment, a restaurant of sort. It seems rather early, and she's asking for the service person to, like, to hook her, like, have her nice, like. And then so he suggests, would you like some bubbly? And then she's like yes. And then she's like and don't bring me a mimosa, like, and better just because, like, don't water down my girl's liquor with no orange juice. Okay, like, she's on a mission. She gets into it with her very young, like, early teen son, right, who clearly has had to take on the role of the adult in this dynamic. He can see something is the matter with his mom, and it's directly linked to drinking. He says it explicitly. What's that in your hand? Like, and then she's like, she says in her confessional, oh my God, I feel humiliated. I would never speak to my parents like that. Our Tato does not have the best command of the English language, but that does not matter to me. It shouldn't matter to nobody. We're past this in our lives. Like, I think that's the other thing that makes it endearing. She's a girl from Lesotho. She's been in Cape Town for 20 years. Can you guys tell? I like I've been talking about Tato. Like, I remember things about Tato from the top of my head. These other girlies, like, I mean, I see you, whatever. Like, it's Tato and Cost. Like that, I'm sorry, she's the breakout star. Like, I think Miss Leo thought that was gonna be her. Miss Leo is shady as fuck, especially in her confessionals. She has a lot to say about people's appearances, you know? Tato's a beautiful woman, by the way. Oh my God. Her son is worried about her drinking and he brings it up and she's like, oh my God. And then she proceeds, Tato, to get up and tell her son that she's going to get another. She's going to get another glass of bubbly. She'll be right back. And she calls this their ritual. She goes to the pool with him by this establishment. He does his swimming while she sips on champagne. It's giving coping mechanism. Anyway, we also meet Roxy. Roxy seems like a very serious person. I don't want to lie. She doesn't seem like she knows how to let her hair down over a good time. Probably a lot like me in that sense. But like, she's very serious. And to me, she seems like, what's the word I'm looking for without making it seem like it's an issue? Oh, Tato has a wine range. She calls herself a winemaker, but she really just has a farm produce this wine and then they white label it in her name and then put it out there. She's not actively making any wine, but she calls herself that. Anyway, Roxy is the only Xhosa speaking woman. My clique is not there. It's never gonna be there. And then she lets us know that her son is at the mountain initiation school. We just had our boys come back a week or so ago. I have thoughts on these kind of cultural practices that I will not get into because it's not worth my time or energy. But anyway, her sisters come over, they talk or whatever. Her home looks the most starter home like, if that makes any sense. I think that's what I was trying to say about her. She seems like within the cast of housewives, there's always a starter housewife, you know. Others are velega, but either they married into money or they're successful in business or whatever. She seems to be very much starter. I mean, the apartment looks small, like anyway, she seemed, let's call her relatable in that sense, right? But it's a nicely furnished, you know, place. She put it together nicely. She sells, it's vague. She reminds me of Mabusi from Real Housewives of Durban. I think she is a boutique as well. And she's from what I gathered, and I hope I'm not wrong, because this is a lucrative market from what I know. She's a reseller of high-end luxury brands, right? And you can usually, for those things, if it's good vintage pieces, well sought after, they appreciate in value. So if that's the space she's in, she ought to be doing okay if she's good at curating good pieces and finding the correct buyers for them. But that's what I understood about what it is that she does. I hope I'm not wrong. And then we meet Bev. Bev is like Barbie. Bev is the skinny white woman she thinks she is. She's that girl. She looks like she belongs in Beverly Hills somewhere. She reminds me of, like, there was this show like long ago on plastic surgeons, Dr. 90210. She reminds me of a woman who was married to one of those doctors. Very, very, very Barbie, but like not, she's no ditz. She's no ditz. Beverly actually seems to be a very smart, put together, very articulate woman, okay? Drives a Ferrari, bad, the baddest bitch out here. she and Tato seem to have a good relationship going on. They call themselves White and Black Barbie, and it makes sense when you see them. It actually tracks. Good on them. Didn't end so well for Nene and whomever on Real Housewives of Atlanta, but you know, you do you. And then we meet Rushta. I don't know where I stand with Rushta or how I feel about her yet. She's the one, she's a fitness instructor, but she doesn't do one-on-one lessons. She's an online fitness instructor with a very big following. She's verified. She's like a workout app and what have you. That's what we learn about her. I love to see well-accomplished women. I love to see it. It does something for me. I love it here. We also see Miss Leo, that's Loveline, going to get a drip, like a vitamin drip. You know, the ones that are supposed to like give you back like all the zhuzh and stuff. We see her going for one of those and she's getting her drip done. And the lady, a nurse or a doctor, I don't know, who's doing this drip for her, also what's happening, what's going on. And then she mentions that she's having an event at Cabo later on, and then this woman proceeds to invite herself and a +1, and Loveline allows it to happen. That was weird. I don't know what the fuck that was, but that was weird. It happens, and then we're at the event at Cabo, and it was a can't quite recall what the exact wording was for the occasion, but it was sundowners vibes, but glam, you know, like, but still somewhere in the middle. Obviously, you don't show up in an evening gown, but you know, show up a little glitzed, you know. And she looks good herself, the host. Loveline looks put together. She looks like a woman who knows how to put herself together. It's important to her, I've realized, because she talks a lot about people's appearances. And then Babe is the first to arrive, looking like a million. The legs, hips, body, yaddy, just that beach. Like, she's who she thinks she is, guys. I don't care. She walks in, and then it's a masked event. I actually thought this was a cute kind of idea. Less the, if you're waiting for somebody to arrive and they're late and it's hot and you're sweaty and stuff. Because Babe even says that she likes the idea of the mask, but she doesn't know about it being like an elastic, like it's a raki, guys. She would have preferred like a satin ribbon, you know, something sexy that you could adjust yourself and not have so stuck on your face, or hot and sweaty and bothered. And everybody trickles in bit by bit. Everybody's confused, like, as to why Rushta looks like she's fresh off Fashion Nova 2018, like wearing some body, like everybody keeps referring to it as a stocking because it's a stocking, and it's ripped and it's guys, it looks like there was a year Fashion Nova had the hose in a chokehold, and they were wearing like everything had a hole here. I call it like everything was Toni Braxton, and y'all know Toni Braxton loves a good cutout, right? She's the queen of, to me, she's the queen of cutouts. Like, Toni Braxton is always trying to remind you that she has a crack here, but like she's the only one in the world. Love Toni Braxton, that's no shade, right? But she loves a good cutout. Like, but Fashion Nova was cutting things. Like, they'll just cut this shirt here. You wouldn't know why. The Legit is another one that just loves to put a hole. You'd be wearing something, they'll put like a chain here. I don't know. But she shows up in something like that. Everybody's like perplexed, like, okay, where's she going? And then Camilla also arrives looking like she's going to water her plants, really. Like, everybody's confused. It's like she's not at the same event. It was confusing. People trickle in, they there. I didn't care for my girl's Tato's pink thing. It looked quite similar to the pink thing she was wearing when she was at the nail salon. I don't care. Everybody's sitting around. The drinks are pouring. It's whatever. Loveline whispered something to Roxy when Roxy walked in. And that thing started getting to Roxy when the drink started flowing, that she felt like she needed to address this. So she calls her friend outside, and then they try to hash it out, but it keeps escalating because they're not finding each other. Now, I'm gonna walk this back episodes down if it turns out I was wrong, but this is what I deduced from that argument. Roxy was added or what later on as a cast member, or informed later on than everybody else that they're gonna include her in this cast. And when she was told, she signed an NDA, so she couldn't disclose to anybody. She says that I could not, you know what I've just been through, I could not mess up this opportunity for myself to Loveline. So I'm guessing Loveline had told her that, Fred, I've been cast for this thing, right? And then she didn't say it back, like, oh, I've also been cast. But she also says, at the time that you said I hadn't been cast, so I wasn't lying or holding anything back from you. But when I was cast, maybe, yes, I should have trusted you with that information, but I couldn't. And then she says, every time I come to your house, you're always drunk and you talk too much when you're drunk. So she didn't want to fuck up this opportunity for herself, so she didn't tell her. But Loveline feels a way about it. Miss Leah feels a way about it. Like, if we're really friends of 15 plus years and you're going to be on the show with me, that you hear me talking about, hey, I'm going to be on the show, why aren't you saying that, oh, friend, they've reached out to me too and I've signed the contract and I'm also... That's what I understood was going on here. If it's anything different than this, then they will shed light on it in further episodes. I don't care. But that was the big thing. That was the big, like, you know, contentious scene. But no, Camilla also starts to read the girlies, uses a little psychology in them, tells Bev that, oh, you look like you have trauma and you've been through it, and it really like sets Bev off, like, oh my god, like whatever. And Tato's were like, oh, are you like a sangoma? I was like, love Tato. And then she's like, okay, why don't you like read me then? Why don't you say? So she tells Tato that you're very vulnerable, but these are very obvious things. Like, I caught this about both of them, or like by the moment they hit my screen, I read it. Like, whatever it is Camilla said, it's an obvious thing about them. But if you're not a person who's in tune with like seeing things like that, you would obviously miss it. But that was episode 1. Let's get straight into episode 2. Episode 2, we're seeing, first scene is Bev and Tato, the Barbies, and they've come from yoga or something, but they've come from a workout thing, and they go to a health bar to have a smoothie, and they sit down for a chat. Bev is clearly worried about her friend, and I appreciate her sensitivity around the issue and how she's trying to deal with it, how she's trying to approach it. She's not trying to be judgmental. She's not trying to push her away, because she still would like to be there for her. So she's choosing a very interesting angle to say that, hey friend, I can see that you need help, and she's choosing to focus on the aesthetic parts of it, or the health part of it, or both, you know, like, you know, maybe like, you know, drink less and gym more and take care of yourself. The older we get, we have to put in more work to stay looking good and stuff, and taking care of ourselves. But she's really getting at the drinking. She's really trying to have a conversation about how, you know, we have to watch what we consume and how we consume without judging her friend. And I appreciated her sensitivity around this issue. I think it just went over my girl Tato's head. Tato tells her that she's in the middle of working on her wine line, and they send her things to the house, so she has to try them. And Babe is like, yeah, but then you taste it and then you spit it out. Okay, babe. Okay. Oh, Leo and Mrs. Leo and Mr. Loveline and her manses go to dinner. It's looking very fancy. There's something about the starter he didn't want to eat, and if I heard correctly, I think there was carpaccio involved. Yeah, black men are not about to fuck with no fucking like cured or raw meat, and they seeing it with the eye. A lot of them will avoid it, not everybody. But my best friend and I are obsessed with trying out carpaccio like a different place. Like, if we go somewhere and we find it like on the menu, we're like, oh, can we try yours? Like, we love it. So she digs in, and then they bring him another option, and he seems keen on that. And then they get to talking about their child's extravaganza, the little boy, the birthday that's coming up. I felt the scene was put on by Loveline to try act like they splurge and they spend this money. It just seemed put on. Like, she sent him the bill, no, the invoice, or whatever it was, about I'm burping because I just pulled a tattoo. Sorry guys. And it's like 120k, some ridiculous amount, or 100k, something ridiculous for this child, this toddler's birthday party, and she's trying to talk him into it and he's not having it. This scene was put on. I'm sorry, like this scene was like ugh. Okay, the wine event, we the next event that we have on our calendar is Tato's event at the wine farm, where she gets her wine pressed, and I can't remember exactly what the name of the place was for the life of me, but they get there and Kwabas is there. Tato says Kwabas is so distractive, and we know my girl means he's a distraction, he's so hot, like, but I don't give a shit. What Tato said is what we're running with. Okay guys, I have a favorite. I picked a favorite. Is it early? Yes. Will I change my mind? Probably. But for now, this is my girl. I'm betting my life. You hear me? Tato and them try out the wine and stuff. Everybody shows up. Roxy shows up at least 4 hours late or something. Like I said, she's the underdog. She's the starter wife here with the starter home and the others. She's always underdressed. Like, it always looks like she's a season behind than the other girls. I love the hat that Rushka and Rushda, what's her name? Rush. The hat that Rush and Miss Leo had on. They're not the same, but the straw hats. But I've got a lot of hair, right? So I just look at other women wear hats and I'm like, oh my god, gorgeous. I'd give anything to wear that. But my hair doesn't, like, no, it doesn't allow me. And I love a good hat. They just look so like, oh my god, yes. That's how they look, right? So I love that for them. Bev is not trying to put her bag down. She's telling everybody how expensive it is, how it's like, you know, a down payment on a car, how this is practically a Range Rover. And then Rushda says something that's so catchy. I've never had that. I've never heard anybody say that in my life. Like, what does she say? Everybody knows you don't put your bag on the floor, money on the floor. I mean, bag on the floor, money out the door. I didn't know people say that. You will never see I don't put my bag on the floor, but now that I know, especially because I'm going through it, like, the recession is living in my house. You will never see me put a bag on the floor. Lechekase will not sit on the floor. Where I'm packing the groceries immediately, nothing is going on the floor because of money out the door. You hear? Ooh, I can't. They at this thing. Tato brings up that a friend of hers informed her after she had left the event at Cabo, the event that Loveline had in the first episode. A friend of hers had got back to her and informed her that after you had left, there were whispers that you had allegedly said that you aren't down with women who marry or date Nigerian men. And Loveline had mentioned in the first episode that when she initially got with her significant other, people started to distance themselves because the man was Nigerian and they didn't want to be associated with that. I mean, this thing is layered. Like, in a country that experiences so many, like, sporadic, violent, xenophobic attacks several times a year, one needs to be careful around these kind of topics. They're very, very sensitive, and a lot of us obviously have people in our lives we love and care about dearly who aren't South African. And when these moments are like come up, it's an insecurity that a lot of these people need to live with as long as they exist within the confines of this country, that at any point people could decide. And we're headed into a recession right now, right? I'm feeling it. Like, I really am. I don't give a shit. Where anything can be blamed on foreign nationals, right? So people are distancing themselves and stuff. So when that came up, I was like, oh, that's serious. So Tato decided to nip it in the butt and get ahead of it and tell Loveline that I didn't say anything like that. I heard that people would, after I left the event, were saying that I said something like that, and that's not what I said. And then in the confessionals, Roxy and Loveline respectively both say, oh, she was just trying to get ahead of it. She probably said it. So I feel like they're gonna be like a tag team bully kind of team if they don't claw each other out first. Because this girl was clearly trying to address something and get ahead of it. And then Tato even says that I've addressed it now with her. If she has a problem or doesn't believe me, I would have expected her in the moment to say, yeah, I feel like you did say it, but she didn't say it. And Tato uses the phrase, which I'll be using from now on, if she confronts me later on. Or anyway, she says that I confronted her about the fact that people were saying this and she didn't say anything back to me. So if she says it later, I'll know she's phony, because where was her back bonnet? I am saying this to everybody. Fuck a backbone. What's a backbone? I'm asking everybody where their back bonnet is. That's me from now on. We get to see Bev and her daughter. We also saw them a little bit in the first episode. And Bev is like, yeah, people can't believe we're mother and daughter. They think, no, they know you're her mom, girl. They just can also tell that you put in a lot of effort to try, by all means, to hold on to your youth and be that bitch. So they know to pay you that compliment. Nobody thinks you're siblings. But anyway, they have a heart-to-heart. I can tell this divorce is still fresh for Bev. It hit her in the gut. Like, it seems like she's really in love. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but it happened. There was a divorce and they talk about it. They cry. The daughter apologizes for having left her. I thought that was a beautiful moment between mother and daughter. We often become our mom's friends in our older years. When that transition was happening for me and my mom, it wasn't necessarily confusing. It was certain things. I was like she's still my mom. Like, we're not afraid. Like I'm an African child. Like, you can only be friendly with your mom to such a degree. But I think my mom and I are more friends than most people get to be. And we still maintain that, like, respect of her being my mom. And, like, we're not going out clubbing, guys. It's whatever. It's just those moments have been important for me to humanize my mom, you know, to see her as a woman outside of this as my mom, and allow her space to feel pain and grief and not to constantly feel like she needs to put on a brave front for me or us and act like she's, like, you know, strong through everything. It's important as we get older to create those spaces, especially if you're a girl, for your mom to know that you're not 8 anymore. She doesn't need to be stoic and put on this front of nothing bothers her. Maybe it is time that she let out a cry, you know? So this was a good scene. I love this for us. Loveline goes to see Camilla. Loveline goes to see Camilla. She also is confused about that house. She's like, I feel like anything could jump out at me because it's giving horror. Okay, and then they go for a ride in her vintage ride, and then she talks about what happened. By the way, Camilla didn't tell Tato that she would not be showing up at the event. I thought that was rude and disrespectful. They go for a ride, and while they're on the ride, Camilla's a beautiful woman. I mean, she's like, on the ride, they talk about how on the ride, Camilla brings up Tato and her fragility and how she spotted that she just seems, something happened at that event that we didn't see. Tato's significant other showed up and he did something out, and then that, outside of the fact that she's so outwardly trying to portray something that is her trying to hide something else, something happened off camera that we didn't see, and it has everybody a little worried for her. And it's evident in the scene that we see next. Camilla expresses a concern. In the confessional, Loveline concurs that something is the matter. Something is off, and I see what she's seeing. And perhaps it's not physical abuse, but there is an abuse of power of sorts going on. There's a dynamic with her and her significant other that has her just like screaming out for help in a very odd manner, if you would like. And then we go to at the wine event, Rushda invited everybody to an evening high tea at some cafe that she likes in town. She said the name over and over and over again, so it was definitely a promo thing. And like, I still don't remember what the name is. I don't live in Cape Town. If I lived in Cape Town, I guess I would want to remember the name and go. But whatever, the people in Cape Town will go. It's an evening high tea. I don't know what you wear to an evening high tea. I know we all have an idea of what to wear to an afternoon tea, but everybody was looking very similar to how they looked when they showed up for the Sundowners for Love Lines thing, and they like in glitz and whatever, like mirror dresses and what have you. And Camilla's gonna need a stylist for real. Camilla was out there just looking like, it wasn't giving. Who else wasn't giving in their fashions? Oh, Roxy showed up looking how you would dress for an afternoon tea, which is probably a mistake I would have made, because unless the invite was super specific, like, nope. Anyway, Tato walks in looking like a lost dog, like a lost little puppy that's just lost its owner, looking around, just confused, in a daze, clearly intoxicated. In this moment, in this scene, which is the last scene of the episode, I established that I do not like Rushda. Rushda kept trying to push alcohol on this girl. Did anybody else spot that? And then, but in the background, when we're hearing the people's mics that we were hearing were Tato speaking to somebody, and in the background I hear somebody saying GBV. Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday, and it sounds like Rushda. But the same bitch is out here saying to Tato, do you need something to drink? What do you want to drink? Bubbly. Okay, yeah, bubbly. Okay, get her bubbly. Like bitch, what? This woman walked in here disheveled, intoxicated, out of her fucking mind, and you're pushing liquor on her because you're trying to produce a television show at her expense. I clocked you. You're my least favorite doing that to my girl. That's pretty much what happened, you all. So slow episode, just enough activity to get us excited about them. We've definitely seen their personalities. These are girls who are ready for the camera. We will see. We'll see how things unfold as we move on. Thank you guys all so much for coming back. Please like, please comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time. We'll be talking about something else. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye.